My name's James Alcorn. Everybody calls me Fish, and I live in Jacksonville, Florida. I've been building bikes for a while now. I got a company called Alleyway Kustoms, which has been in action for a little over 10 years. And I got my first Harley in 1996. It was a 1969 Ironhead. So this was our build for Born Free, Texas, number 3. It's a 1966 shovelhead pan shovel, and it kind of came from a batch of parts that a guy was getting out of bikes, a guy that I met through the tattoo industry, and he was kind of selling everything he had, so this was part of the parts lot. And we didn't know at the time that we were going to be invited to do Born Free, Texas. So this all kind of morphed into what we got going on now. I've been struggling with a bunch of, not ideas, but everybody kind of does the stock frame, kind of like our panhead that we did for People's Champ back in 2020. But I kind of wanted to really build a frame. I was also kind of looking for a different stance that would maybe set it off to be a little bit different. And I had been looking at some D-rake bikes and had never done a D-rake bike, and I didn't think that was something that would people would expect us to do. This bike's D-rake to 26 degrees with the 4-over narrowed Springer. And I haven't done a Sportster tank in a while, so with the T-bars, when we were getting it together, it started really looking like one of my favorite bikes, Jason Jesse's Black Tibetan, but it's kind of just a little bit different, but it has some similarities, and I like a lot of what the Japanese builders do, how they kind of take a bunch of freedom to kind of do some different stuff. And this is a single down tube frame. It's not a single loop. For the main reason is, I'm 6'1", and I'd been playing around with some different designs of foot controls, of moving mid controls just a little bit further forward, because I feel like if you're a shorter person, you can fit on mids pretty good, but like if you're a tall person, they can really kind of get behind you with the different mounting points, and I didn't want to kind of get backed into a corner with that so much. So over the years, by default and for financial reasons, I kind of had to start figuring out how to do a bunch of the different things on the bike that I couldn't afford to do, like the seats and the paint and stuff. So 10 or more years later, we do a lot of stuff here in-house and build a lot of stuff by hand, which I still try to kind of keep it traditional as to what would have been available, after 1966 in a couple years. So it's got hydraulic drum brakes, the front brakes, Triumph Cub drum brake that you would probably kind of use to stop you on a hill with the foot clutch. And we got into sand casting just because there's really not a lot of light options available, and we did some sand casting on our Francine panhead that we did for People's Champ Born Free. In starting to do a lot of the sand casting stuff, I wanted to design a different shape headlight for this bike, and kind of what I do is I pick that shape and kind of repeated it through the bike. So the inlay in the gas tank, the resin inlay shape is the same shape as the headlight, the same shape as the tail light, kicker pedal, exhaust tips, and all that stuff. So it kind of repeats itself, and that way it gives a lot of creative control to make sure you have all your parts kind of fitting correctly in there. And so going through the bike, we narrowed this 4-over Springer that came from a swap meet, was part of the pile of parts. So we fixed a bunch of stuff, straightened that. The only parts that are really chrome on the bike, Springer, handlebars, oil lines we custom made, and then everything else is kind of made out of stainless, which I like doing because when you get it together, if you have any issues, you can kind of modify stuff, pull it apart, repolish it. And so I like to build a lot of stuff out of stainless and aluminum. So the bike's name is the Vulture, and I think I'm kind of notorious for stumbling across a band that's been out for 10 years, and then I've never heard about them. So there's this English band, The Gallows, Frank Carter's band, and we listened to that, found out about that band, listened to it a lot. So the toughest song name that they got on the one record we like is The Vulture, and it kind of coincides with that Ed Roth thing that I was talking about with the art and stuff. So Ed Roth always had a little saying for some of the names of the bikes, and so did Gene Winfield and some of the other car builder guys and stuff. So under the tank it says "Fools drool, vultures rule," and we found a place that could get us a vulture skull. So that's what is sitting in resin in the inlay in the gas tank. So that's basically the story of the name of the bike, and you know, it's super fun to ride and super fast. You know, we were stoked to take it to Texas, and hopefully you guys dig it. Yeah, that's about it.